Ever get that feeling like you're just one good brainstorming session away from like a major breakthrough?
Yeah.
I know I do, but
I
then
miss.
reality sets in, deadlines, budgets, that one coworker who like always shoots down every idea.
It's amazing how quickly those innovative sparks can kind of fizzle out in the face of real-world pressures, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so fascinated by this concept of InnoBall.
Hmm.
It's like a training ground for your innovation muscles. And today, we're diving deep into how it
And we're
works.
not just talking about like a fun team-building exercise here.
Right?
This is a simulation game designed to equip teams with the tools and strategies they need to actually drive innovation within their organizations.
Okay, so paint me a picture. What's the InnoBall experience actually like?
Imagine this.
Yeah.
You and your team are thrust into this fast-paced business simulation.
Okay.
You're not just brainstorming ideas in a vacuum. You're actually like building a business from the ground up, complete with competitors, a constantly shifting market. And yes, even those dreaded internal obstacles that always seem to crop up.
Oh, I know those obstacles all too well.
Right.
If it feels like every company has its own unique brand of innovation kryptonite.
Yeah.
So how does InnoBall address that?
Well, the creators of InnoBall did something really interesting.
Okay.
They actually identified the most common enemies of innovation,
You mean like,
those internal and external factors that can stifle creativity and prevent those game-changing ideas from ever seeing the light of day.
okay, I have to ask, what are these so-called enemies?
Right.
Are we talking about like a lack of funding or maybe a fear of failure?
Those are definitely up there.
Okay.
But it goes even deeper than that. The document highlights things like a risk-averse company culture,
Mm-hmm.
bureaucratic red tape,
Mm.
all those approvals and sign-offs that can slow things down to a crawl,
Yeah.
and even just plain old resistance to change.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the only constant is change, yet we're constantly resisting it. It's like we're hardwired to sabotage our own progress.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Is.
But that's where InnoBall comes in.
Okay.
By simulating these very real challenges in a safe and controlled environment,
Mm.
it gives teams a chance to experiment, fail fast,
Right.
and learn how to navigate those obstacles effectively without the fear of real-world consequences.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So we're talking about more than just coming up with a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the entire life cycle of innovation,
Mm-hmm.
from that initial spark to actually bringing something new and valuable to the market. Right
Exactly.
now.
And to do that successfully,
Yeah.
you need to equip people with a specific set of skills.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just have a eureka moment.
Yeah.
You need strategic thinking to navigate the complexities of the market,
Right.
creative problem solving to overcome unexpected hurdles.
Yeah.
And perhaps most importantly,
What's that?
you need teamwork.
Okay.
Because let's face it, innovation is rarely a solo sport.
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
So how does InnoBall actually help people develop these skills?
Yeah.
Is it just a free-for-all brainstorming session, or is there a more structured approach?
Well, they actually use a really interesting analogy within the game.
Okay.
They break down the different roles within an innovation team using a sports metaphor,
Like what?
specifically a soccer team.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for a good sports analogy. Tell me more.
All right. So you've got your goalkeeper,
Okay.
and just like in a real match, they're the last line of defense.
Right.
But instead of guarding a net, they're protecting the team's innovative spirit.
Protecting them from what exactly?
Think of those enemies of innovation we talked about, like negativity, risk, aversion, bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
The goalkeeper in InnoBall represents a supportive leader who clears the way for the team to take risks
Okay.
and experiment without constantly fearing failure.
Right.
They're there to create that like psychologically safe space where innovation can flourish.
It makes sense when you put it that way. Having that kind of support can make a huge difference in how willing people are to share their ideas.
Yeah.
So who else is on this innovation dream team?
Next, we have the defenders.
Okay.
They're your venture strategists, the ones who are always thinking several steps ahead.
Okay.
Just like in soccer, they're analyzing the playing field,
Right.
identifying potential threats,
Mm-hmm.
and coming up with ways to navigate around them.
Oh, so they're the master planners, making sure the team doesn't get blindsided by unexpected challenges or, even worse, their own internal biases.
Exactly.
What about the people on the offensive side? Who are the playmakers in this scenario?
That would be our strikers.
Okay.
These are the entrepreneurial leaders, the ones who are always looking for opportunities to drive the project forward and push for those breakthrough moments.
They're the ones taking those shots on goal, going for it, even when there's a chance they might miss.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah,
But even with a star striker, you need a strong midfield to make things happen, right?
absolutely. That's where the midfielders come in.
Okay, the midfielder.
These are your inventors, your core innovation team.
Okay.
They're the ones taking those initial ideas, developing them, refining them, and passing them along to the strikers to carry across the finish line.
Wow. This analogy really makes you think about teamwork in a whole new way.
Right.
It's like a well-choreographed dance, everyone playing their part to achieve a common goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when everyone understands their role and how it contributes to the bigger picture, that's when the magic really happens.
But even the best teams face setbacks and challenges. How does InnoBall simulate those real-world roadblocks that every innovator inevitably encounters?
Well, remember those enemies of innovation we talked about earlier.
You mean like risk aversion and...
Risk aversion, bureaucracy, resistance to change.
Yeah.
Those are all built into the fabric of the game itself.
So it's not just about playing a role, it's about learning how to overcome those very real obstacles that can derail even the most promising ideas.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And what's really interesting is that InnoBall doesn't just throw you into the deep end and leave you to sink or swim.
Right.
The simulation is just one part of a larger process that emphasizes reflection and analysis.
So there's a debrief after the game.
Exactly.
Tell me more about that. So walk me through this debriefing process. What happens after the InnoBall simulation ends?
After the game, participants come together to unpack their experience.
Okay.
They analyze what worked, what didn't,
Right.
and most importantly, how they can apply those lessons to their real work environments.
So it's like a learning experience.
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap between simulation and reality.
It's one thing to have a eureka moment in a game setting, but connecting those dots to the real world,
Right.
that's where the real learning happens.
Yeah.
Do they actually track how effective this debriefing process is?
Absolutely. They've collected data on how participants perform before and after the InnoBall experience.
Interesting.
And the results are pretty compelling.
Okay, I'm really curious now. What kind of results are we talking about?
On average, participants see a significant boost in their scores across those key innovation skills we discussed.
Like what we talked about earlier.
Strategic thinking, entrepreneurial creativity,
Mm,
and especially anticipation, which really speaks to that ability to navigate those enemies of innovation.
that's huge.
Yeah,
So it's not just anecdotal evidence. They
Right.
have the data to back it up.
exactly.
Now, I have to ask, we've been talking about InnoBall in the context of team development.
Mm.
But I'm curious, are there other applications for this kind of simulation?
Sure.
Could it be used for, say, recruitment?
You read my mind. The document actually highlights how InnoBall can be adapted for various purposes, including recruitment,
Okay.
instead of just relying on traditional interviews. Imagine putting potential hires through a mini InnoBall session.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That's brilliant. You'd get to see firsthand how candidates approach challenges, how they collaborate under pressure.
Exactly.
It's like a sneak peek into their innovative potential.
Exactly. And for existing employees, InnoBall can be a powerful tool for professional development and even boosting morale.
Okay.
It injects an element of fun and creativity into the workday while also encouraging people to step outside their comfort zones
Yeah.
and connect with colleagues from different departments.
It's like, forget those trust falls. We're building the future of innovation over here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to a crucial point. Innovation isn't some elusive superpower reserved for a select few.
Right?
It's a skill, a mindset that anyone can cultivate with the right tools and encouragement.
Totally.
InnoBall provides a framework for doing just that. But even if you never play the game itself, the principles behind it,
I see what you're saying.
embracing challenges, fostering collaboration,
Mhm.
and approaching problems with a playful curiosity, those are things we can all benefit from.
It's about unleashing that inner innovator that's inside all of us, right?
Precisely. We all have the capacity to be innovative in our own ways,
Mm.
whether it's coming up with a more efficient way to organize our inbox or revolutionizing an entire industry.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. So for our listener who's feeling inspired and ready to embrace their inner innovator, what's one key takeaway you hope they walk away with today?
Don't wait for permission or a fancy title to start innovating.
I love that.
Start by looking at the challenges around you, both big and small,
Okay.
and ask yourself, what if?
What if?
What if there's a better way to do this? What if we could achieve the impossible? That's where innovation begins.
Yeah.
with a question, a spark of curiosity, a willingness to play in the face of the unknown.
Love that. Embrace the what if and never be afraid to play. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.